Hey, welcome to the New Deal. Kevin McCarthy trying to play obstructionist again, but Nancy Pelosi came to play ball. Hey guys, welcome to the New Deal. Thanks for stopping back in. I'm Jared Nutini. We're going to talk about today's big headline in just a second. But first, if you like the New Deal YouTube channel, or if you like the podcast or the blog or any of the other content out there, please hit the subscribe button below. I would definitely appreciate it. Also, if you want the notifications, hit the little bell and it'll tell you when things happen, right? Also, head on over to Facebook. We set up the New Deal community group. It's a group page where you can post news that's interesting to you, voice your opinion, start a conversation. If it's interesting, I will engage with you personally. Otherwise, there's a bunch of other people hanging out there who will have a conversation with you. So that's the New Deal community group. Just ask to join and we'll let you in. Today, big news. Nancy Pelosi is forming the commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection. And Kevin McCarthy has 5 people he can pick for that commission. He's the House Minority Leader. And he picked his 5, but today, Nancy Pelosi rejected 2 of those in an unprecedented move. And those representatives were Jim Jordan, the class clown of the Republican Party, and Jim Banks. And I think she did it with good reason. But before we get into the details of what happened today, I just want to give a little background as to this whole commission thing and some of the history of it since, May or so. So here's some history.
Now, Mr. President, on one final matter, after careful consideration, I've made the decision to oppose the House Democrats' slanted and unbalanced proposal for another commission to study the events of January the 6th.
That was Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell speaking in May about a January 6th commission, a commission to investigate the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. And he's saying that he is opposed to it. Well, what was that commission? That commission was put forth from the House of Representatives. It was supposed to be a 9/11 style commission, completely unbiased, figure out what happened, put out the report. It would be equal parts Democrat and Republican members. All members on the commission would have had the opportunity to subpoena whoever they wanted, and it had to be completed by December 31st of this year. It had a sunset date of December 31st of this year. And those conditions were negotiated by House Republicans, and the Democrats agreed to them. And yet, when that went to the Senate Republicans said, we don't even want to bring that up for debate. We are completely uninterested. We do not have any interest in figuring what actually happened on January 6th. So, as some Republicans predicted, Nancy Pelosi formed her own commission. Hey, this needs to be investigated. There was an attack on the U.S. Capitol. There was an attack on America. We should probably figure out what happened there. There's a lot of moving parts, right? But Nancy Pelosi said, in the name of being bipartisan, I will allow House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to appoint an equal number of Republican members. And also, I will appoint my own members, one of which is a Republican, Liz Cheney. So she picked a Republican. The Republicans can pick their committee members. It will be another even-keeled commission, as even as it could be. It is not something that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats were trying to do on their own. Okay? So Kevin McCarthy has an opportunity to pick his 5 members, and we're waiting, and he comes out yesterday and he says, here are my 5 members. 2 of which were problematic. And Nancy Pelosi today, to her credit, came out and said, in an unprecedented move, I will be rejecting 2 of the minority leaders' selections to the committee. Why would she do that? Well, those 2 selections were Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. Okay, so Jim Jordan, let's start with him. Jim Jordan is the class clown of the Republican Party. He just says the same thing over and over and over again. He sticks to talking points. He never addresses the question. He never he's one-dimensional. He's there to be annoying. He's there to put forth Republican talking points wherever he is, whether it's on a committee or in the media or wherever. That's what he does, okay? And that's the reason he was selected to this commission. Even yesterday, and I'll play a clip later, he was kind of talking down about this commission. But on top of that, Jim Jordan could be an actual witness in this commission, in this investigation, because he supposedly talked to Trump about ways to reverse the election. He's a character in this problem. Okay. Number one, Jim Banks came out and said that, this is just, the left-wing authoritarian type commission, and he kind of downplayed it that way. And so when you've been appointed to a commission, the first thing that you say is that this is a left-wing authoritarian thing, that investigation that's going to happen, you're probably not credible. You're probably not a person that, should be investigating such a serious matter. So Nancy Pelosi said, no. She said, you guys are not going to be on this commission. And I've got her statement right here. She said, with respect for the integrity of the investigation, with an insistence on truth and with concern about statements made and actions taken by these members, I must reject the recommendations of Representative Banks and Jordan to the Select Committee. She said, the unprecedented nature of January 6th demands this unprecedented decision. She had the final say on the committee, and she said that she was going to seat the other three selections. The other three people McCarthy said would be on the committee, she said she was prepared to appoint them. Representative Rodney Davis, Kelly Armstrong, and Troy Nehls. She would do it all, okay? So that's where we are. So, unprecedented move, but maybe a necessary move. So Kevin McCarthy comes out today in response to Nancy Pelosi, and he says this.
Speaker Pelosi has taken the unprecedented step of denying the minority party's picks for the Select Committee on January 6th. This represents something that has not happened in the House before for a Select Committee by the historian. It's an egregious abuse of power. Pelosi has broken this institution.
But here's the problem. Kevin McCarthy says that Nancy Pelosi is breaking the institution, but Kevin McCarthy is the one who's trying to break the institution with Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. Let's break this down. Let's break this down like we do on the podcast. Let's take it one step at a time. Attack on the Capitol. Okay, an attack happened. All right, cool. January, Kevin McCarthy's like, let's get a commission. Let's do it. Okay. Mitch McConnell says, hey, this might take some further investigation. Trump might have had something to do with it, very clearly on the Senate floor. So Democrats are like, let's form a commission. And then Republicans are like, you know what? We don't want the commission. Even though it's equal part Democrat and Republican and everybody can subpoena, it must be done by December 31st. We didn't want the commission. We don't want it. So we're not going to do the commission. Okay, Senate Republicans say no commission. So Nancy Pelosi says, well, we were attacked. So commission, here's how it's going to work. And she forms the commission. And Kevin McCarthy gets to pick some members. And he's like, you know what, though? I'm going to pick Jim Jordan and Jim Banks. Jim Jordan has been talking all week about how, we shouldn't even be talking about this, and we shouldn't be looking at this is just to go after Trump, and we should be looking at Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi had something to do with the reason that January 6th happened, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. We genuinely know why, the things we need to look at for the investigation. Nancy Pelosi had nothing to do with it. Stop spewing nonsense or go home. So Nancy Pelosi said, go home. Jim Banks is like, left-wing authoritarian, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, you know what? The country was attacked on January 6th. So if you're going to play politics with this and say it's all about authoritarianism, then you can go home. We'll find somebody else. That's what Nancy said. So somehow Nancy Pelosi is the one who is, harming the institution when Kevin McCarthy is putting trolls on a committee who have no interest whatsoever in conducting an actual investigation. Real funny, Kevin McCarthy. The hypocrisy is real. Like, let's get a reality check, okay? But McCarthy, of course, didn't stop there.
Made it undeniable this panel has lost all legitimacy and credibility. And it shows exactly what I warned back at the beginning of January, that Pelosi would play politics with this.
It's exactly like he warned at the beginning of January. Yes, that she's going to play politics with it. She's not playing politics with it. Playing politics with it is this. For Republicans to come out like the day of and the day after and be like, we need to investigate, we need a commission. And then the Democrats say, we need a commission. And then Republicans say, we don't want the commission. And then Democrats say, we want the commission anyway. And Republicans say, well, we're going to throw some trolls on it for you. That's playing politics. And the problem is that Democrats, most of us, live in a world where we could not fathom that members of our government would not take seriously an attack on the U.S. Capitol to the point that they were willing to play these political games with something as bipartisan as a 50-50 full subpoena power commission with a sunset date on it that Republicans negotiated. It's what kind of politics is it where it's like, hey, we would like to negotiate. We'd like these 4 things. If you can give us those 4 things, we're in. And then Democrats are like, you know what? 4 things make sense. We're good. We're good. Let's do it. And then they're like, ooh, didn't think you'd agree. Actually don't want to do it. Called our bluff, right? Who's playing politics here? The Capitol was attacked. Who's playing politics?
2 main questions. Why was the Capitol so ill prepared for that day when they knew on December 14th they had a problem? And what have we done to make sure that never happens again?
Those are 2 really interesting questions, Kevin. I'm glad that you're concerned about it. But it's interesting because just a few months ago, you were talking about all the reasons that we don't need a commission because all these other people are doing all these other things. And you weren't really asking those questions at all. Why are those questions only relevant now? Why now does suddenly December 14th matter to you? Why didn't you think about that when you could have had a full bipartisan commission, instead of saying these things?
I just felt we're going to have 4 things happening right now. You've got 2 committees in the Senate already doing their investigation. I believe in 2 weeks they'll already have their report back, even though Pelosi wasted all this time. You got the architect of the Capitol given $10 million to study what we need done here to protect it. And then you got the Justice Department, rightfully does a much better job than we could ever do. Arrested already 445 people. Probably another 100 coming. That's the type of work we want to make sure done, that it never happens again, that those who participated and caused it should be held accountable, and that we secure this Capitol and we don't play politics with it. I just think a Pelosi commission is a lot of politics.
So McCarthy never wanted the commission. McCarthy was fine with just people being arrested, bringing people to justice. McCarthy was fine with that. He was fine with, just getting a few $1 million to, check out the layout of the Capitol building and things like that. That doesn't answer the question of why the insurrection happened, who was behind the insurrection, why the police officers weren't able to hold off the insurrectionists, why the National Guard wasn't able to get there. But he was never interested in that. He was always just perfectly content. Oh, they'll bring people to justice and that's it. Perfectly content. No, nothing there about like, oh, we need to find out what happened on December 14th and we need to... He didn't bring any of that up a few months ago. He didn't care about that a few months ago. He only cares about that now that Nancy Pelosi has pushed back. That's it. Just one more piece here from McCarthy, and then that'll be it from McCarthy. But one more piece just to illustrate my point.
Pelosi has created a sham process. Unless Speaker Pelosi reverses course and seats all 5 Republicans, we will not participate. But we think it's too important that those 2 questions, why were we ill prepared? Why did they know on December 14th? Why would they jeopardize the lives of the Capitol Police? We will run our own investigation.
Nancy Pelosi has not created a sham process. Nancy Pelosi is trying to put together a commission to investigate an attack on the United States Capitol by insurrectionists, and she wants to find out real information, have a real investigation. She tried to do it in a bipartisan way, and Republicans have not wanted to do it, okay? McCarthy sits there and he says, oh, it's so important. It's so important that we answer these 2 questions. Why were we ill prepared? And, why did we knew ahead of time? Why wasn't something done? Do you think these are insightful questions? Do you think these are like revelatory questions? We've known these questions. Most of us have had these questions since January 6th. These aren't new questions. These are questions that have needed to be answered from the start. And now they're so important that you'll do your own investigation? No. these questions weren't that important to you when you were trying to, do the regular commission that the Senate shot down that you advocated against, Kevin McCarthy. They weren't that important then at all. They weren't important in the press conference you gave a couple of months ago when you didn't even mention these questions, didn't even say that any questions need to be answered because everything was going to be taken care of, right? Oh yeah, we got the $10 million for this, and we got the, we're going to look into the police thing, and it's all set in the committee in the Senate, blah, blah, blah. These questions weren't important to you then. And they certainly weren't important enough to you last week. Running through this week, when you put Jim Jordan and Jim Banks on this commission. If you took it seriously, if you wanted those questions answered, you wouldn't put your class clown on the commission. You wouldn't make a mockery of the commission if these questions were so important. And it's Nancy Pelosi that's playing politics? I don't think so. And it's a little embarrassing to watch these press conferences in which McCarthy just so blatantly lies. Like he's not even concealing it well. He's just lying because he's towing the line for himself and Trump and the other people out there. Because at the end of the day, this is a bunch of Republicans defending Donald Trump. These are people that go down to Mar-a-Lago and have dinner with Trump on the regular here, okay? Like, these are people who are beholden to Donald Trump, and this investigation could reveal some negative information about not only Trump, but them. McCarthy was directly involved. Jim Jordan could have been directly involved, okay? But it's Pelosi playing politics? No. This is basically engaging in a cover-up. There's no way around it. That's what this is. If the commission were important, the Senate would have voted on the bipartisan commission, approved that. We would have moved forward with that already. Instead, it fell down to Nancy Pelosi to try to do something about the United States being attacked, because when we're attacked, we're supposed to do something about it in America, right? So Nancy Pelosi has, taken on that mantle, and Kevin McCarthy's treating it like a joke, like a mockery. That's playing politics. And then saying that they're going to do their own investigation. He didn't care enough for either one of the previous commissions, didn't take either one seriously, but now he's going to run his own? He's so compelled to find the answers now? No, that doesn't make sense. We can see right through it. And any Republican or Trump supporter should be able to see through it as well. Okay? Call them out for what it is. Okay, guys? Like, if they're going to be deceitful and they're going to do it poorly, call them out on it. All right, like, let them know they got to step up their game a little bit if they want to pull the wool over people's eyes. So I'm not the only one who feels this way. I'm sure Democrats feel this way, and it's frustrating because we just want answers. Honestly, we just want answers for January 6th because the nation was attacked, so we want answers. But Liz Cheney put out a really, really strong statement today, and I'm just going to run the whole thing, and we'll talk about it right at the end, but I'm just going to run the whole thing here. So this is Liz Cheney's statement after the McCarthy press conference today.
Any person who would be third in line to the presidency must demonstrate a commitment to the Constitution and a commitment to the rule of law. And Minority Leader McCarthy has not done that.
Last question.
I want to take a minute to talk about the appointments to the January 6th Select Committee. The rhetoric that we have heard from the Minority Leader is disingenuous. The attack on this building on January 6th was the worst attack on this Capitol since 1814. It was an attack on our Constitution. We supported what would have been the very best option, which was a bipartisan independent commission. The Minority Leader opposed that. He lobbied against it in the Senate, and the Senate blocked it. The American people deserve to know what happened. The people who did this must be held accountable. There must be an investigation that is nonpartisan, that is sober, that is serious, that gets to the facts wherever they may lead. And at every opportunity, the Minority Leader has attempted to prevent the American people from understanding what happened, to block this investigation. Today, the Speaker objected to 2 Republican members. She accepted 3 others. She objected to 2, one of whom may well be a material witness to events that led to that day, that led to January 6th. The other, who disqualified himself by his comments in particular over the last 24 hours, demonstrating that he is not taking this seriously. He is not dealing with the facts of this investigation, but rather viewed it as a political platform.
So that was Liz Cheney, and I let it run the whole way through because I think every sentence she said mattered and is relevant to what I've been talking about this episode. She called Kevin McCarthy disingenuous in the comments that he made earlier, okay? She said that the best chance that they had was for the bipartisan independent commission that McCarthy lobbied against to get the Senate to reject. She acknowledged that as a Republican, as one of the most conservative members of the Republican caucus in the House, okay? She said they need a nonpartisan, sober, and serious investigation, which you wouldn't have gotten with Jim Jordan on the panel, okay? Or Jim Banks, based on comments they've made in the past and also Jordan's potential involvement in the situation itself. And then one of the most striking things she said was that at every opportunity, the minority leader has tried to prevent the American people from finding out what happened. She is calling him out and just saying he is preventing these investigations. He is preventing these commissions from moving forward. He's preventing the American people from finding out. She is putting the blame squarely on Kevin McCarthy as the minority leader. And she was very eloquent in the way that she said it. But here's what this comes down to. What Liz Cheney is demonstrating is bipartisanship. And what I mean is, not she's working with the Democrats. Bipartisan issues like an attack on the nation, right? Something that we should all be able to understand and all be able to rally behind and all want more information on. Those are bipartisan issues, which means that we should be able to come together on it in the way that Liz Cheney is coming together with Nancy Pelosi to get those answers. That's a bipartisan issue. Kevin McCarthy is making this a partisan issue. The Republicans are making this a partisan issue by politicizing it. We should be able to get answers. It's the equivalent of like 9/11 happening and Kevin McCarthy being like, oh, well, we already know that the planes hit the tower. And and other people are already looking into it and the NTSB is looking into it. So why should we investigate it? It's the equivalent. Okay. It's a huge national tragedy that we deserve answers for, that we're not going to get answers on because certain Republicans decided it's just not that important. Okay. So for anyone who's been calling for bipartisan government, for anyone who's sick of the division in this country, for anyone who wants to see progress being made by our government, Liz Cheney is everything that should look like. Okay? Putting your ideological stances aside and saying, this is too important, we're going to figure this out together. That's what bipartisan leadership looks like. Kevin McCarthy is not demonstrating bipartisan leadership. Mitch McConnell is not demonstrating bipartisan leadership. Okay? The same names we hear over and over again. Cheney, Collins, Murkowski, Sass, Romney. Those are your bipartisan, middle-of-the-road Republicans who want to get things done no matter what. And the same exists on the Democratic side, and I think, honestly, larger numbers. Okay? So I let that run because she said it. She said it all. If we want bipartisanship, we need a commission. We need to figure out what happened, okay? Because Americans don't let America get attacked and just let it go, which is essentially what we're doing. So Nancy Pelosi is absolutely right to remove Jim Jordan and to remove Jim Banks. Liz Cheney agreeing with that is all the confirmation that you need to know that that is the correct decision being made, okay? We need a real investigation. We need real answers. So hopefully we get some of that through the House Commission. I think we all would have preferred the bipartisan independent commission. I think we all would have, but Republicans didn't let that happen, okay? So Republicans can't be mad about it. So we'll see where this goes. But just to summarize, Kevin McCarthy's a loser. Kevin McCarthy has no backbone. There's no integrity there, all right? I am willing to respect our elected officials to the point that they earn it, and he hasn't earned it. He's insulting all Americans, all of us. He's making a mockery of the lives lost on January 6th and the assault on our nation and the integrity of our nation in the very building that he was in. The guy made a phone call to Trump to tell, Trump to call the people off, and he still can't bring himself to get a commission. Okay? So we need to demand better leadership on the Republican side. We need to get rid of this, facade of caring and whatever it is that they're doing. They don't care. Something happened. They don't want people to know about it. They're doing everything they can to make sure this investigation doesn't happen. We need to come together as Americans and just demanding the truth. Just demand the truth, whether it be through the House commission or through the Senate committee, or maybe demand a actual independent commission, because we can do that as the American people. So anyway, that's the new minute for today. Kevin McCarthy's a loser. Jim Jordan is a class clown. We finally have a commission. Liz Cheney speaking truth again. That's the new minute. Thank you for listening in. I will talk to you guys soon.